Maybe I should sit back. Okay. I'm here to make a video. Thankfully that this is, you know, how do you say, like, available for everybody to see, and it records automatically. I think it's a blessing. I mean, I know it's just basic information and basic technology, but I am really grateful for somebody who is learning every day how to use my computer. It's really helpful that no matter what, all this is recorded, and I can just sort of pick through all of it, and it's so nice. But I was thinking about this idea for the past few days, and I had a small conversation with some of my friends. Hold on, I'm trying to get our chat up, you guys. Okay. Yeah. Let me see. Can collapse this. Okay. All right, I can see everybody. Okay, me and Padme are here. I have this big whiteboard of all this junk that was in my head, just because I lose my train of thought and I have a really hard time expressing myself. In my head, it sounds a lot better than whenever I try to actually get it out with words. And I feel like I've always been that way, but it's the ADHD. What can I say? I get distracted even if I'm speaking. Where should I start? I had this conversation with a couple of my friends. I was wishing them well. I was telling them that they specifically have the ability to have more success, and even if they don't necessarily have it in that moment, that they could cultivate the abilities and tools that they do have now to actually make that come to fruition. So I sent them a message. I didn't say all that, but I sent them a message saying, you know, you're going to be more successful. And you know, one person used that as an opportunity to connect and express doubts. And then they also were open to receiving, you know, words of encouragement and relatability. And they reassessed. But who knows if they'll actually, you know, do that. I only hope, right? So then the other friend that I had, they were expressing to me that, you know, they've been dealing with a lot has been on their plate. They weren't necessarily feeling the best about themselves, and that they had to basically learn balance in their sacrifice. You know, they went on a big spiel about, you know, why it's important to them and why it works for them. So the only reason why I got to even thinking about telling them that was because when I very first started to stream, it would be almost 4 years ago now, I would get up at 4 in the morning. And I remember that first night when I was going to, I didn't even sleep. I was just so excited to be able to do exactly what I wanted that day and just hopefully have it work out, you know. I completely quit my job and I just went for it. Did the same thing every day. with what knowledge I had at the time, and I just pulled from all my resources and all the knowledge that I'd gained about nutrition to share it on my stream, to give me some content of some sort. And I would take my butt to the gym every day to give me a interesting environment, to see me in real life, in real time, working through my life, which was what I would have done if the camera was off, you know. And a lot of the time I would share that same thing, but, you know, whenever I wasn't streaming, I would basically just be crying on the treadmill, you know. When I'd be streaming, I wouldn't be, obviously, like, unless thoughts were provoked, that's one thing, but I would literally go there just to relieve stress and tension that I felt about myself, and I'd walk for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, however long, and I just would end up starting to cry, because when you're with yourself, eventually you're with your thoughts, and that's kind of what happened. And through that, I still showed up at 6 in the morning and kept going. That's just some context, but I assiduously did that for days and days and days and days. And I remember that summer, I gave it up. I think I went and see my friends just a few times. I used some of those events or those occasions to give my stream more of an appeal. I brought in different people. I used it to my advantage. I took advantage of the fact that they wanted to maybe party or, you know, eat food or play games or whatever the case may be, just in the context of us just hanging out in general. And I utilized that to my benefit. And eventually it became to a point where people just wanted to hang around me, wanted my time. You know, wanted my time just to be around me, to have fun with me. And my content was centered around, you know, working out, eating well, being able to maintain a schedule in order for me to even show up and actually broadcast, etc. I relied heavily on my routine. And I would have a lot of people who wanted to just hang out, drink, stay up until 2 in the morning, knowing damn well I had to be on my stream early in the morning, and my stream would get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. You know, I would allow it to happen. And then on top of that, I'm still grieving, you know, and there would be some days where I didn't even want to wake up, and there were some days where I didn't even want to go to bed. I didn't go to bed till the next day. Some days I didn't go to bed till 6 p.m., you know, because I was just majorly depressed, and I missed my dad so much, and I was dealing with his death, and I still had to stream though, you know, I still had to get up and I still had to do that, and I had to fake it. And some days I, you know, didn't really feel like talking, and those kinds of streams were a little bit more relaxed. I had something to distract me, whether it be art or maybe a video game or whatever the case may be. But even then, so I found that my distraction lied a lot within even video games and like just relaxing too much. And, you know, I just love to chill. I love to chill, I love to relax, I love to hang back, I like to hang out with my friends. And I would give in to just hanging out for days, you know, for days and such a long time within that day. You know, I'd come over to my friend's house at 2, I'd stay there till 2 a.m. You know, that was my whole day. I didn't even end up streaming. You know, there'd be days like that. And for something like that, so seriously making you money to sustain a lifestyle that's intertwined with your content, it's a lot to upkeep. You know, it's a lot to upkeep, and it's a responsibility at some point, because your whole life is your content, you know. So if I get off track or if I get lazy, you know, it will affect that. And then at some point I decided, you know what, you know, I need to focus on having a budget. So I did. That's a whole other thing, but, you know, more so than I had ever. The importance of budgeting and the importance of working salary and the importance of knowing exactly where my money is going, to then kind of plan out my month to see where my time will go, you know, which was really important. And that also got me interested in, you know, just more things that are layered about life and layered about working for yourself, taxes, whatever the case may be. But I sort of appreciated it once I got rid of all the distractions of the people who were taking my time, or distractions of people who would complain about where my time was, even though I'm chasing my dream, or I'm chasing a goal, or I have goals set that don't inquire hanging out, or they don't inquire being around people for no reason, or, you know, kind of just wasting time, and that's it. You know, I'm learning the value of my time, you know, and I'm understanding why people want my time, you know. So it was a very interesting time. And when you're sitting with yourself and you're realizing that, and you're trying to accept it and trying to make sense of it, it's hard. It's very hard, and it hurts your feelings a lot of the time. If you're compassionate, I mean, you know, that's what happened to me. I can only speak for my fucking self. You know, it just hurt my feelings a lot because, you know, people might have viewed my position as, you know, maybe they had a lot of faith in me that everything was going to be fine, which meant that they were really naive to what the business is or what it requires. And then I had other people who might have just been preying on my downfall, or they just thought I was just playing, or like, oh, you know, this is what she's going to do for a few years, and then like she'll just get back to like real life, or whatever a normal life or real life is for them, you know. It's more comparative and rooting in jealousy and or envy, whatever the case may be, or just their own self-doubt, you know, projection, whatever. So, you know, you sit with that and you hear what people tell you, or they say, oh, you know, you're not going to go to work today, or you don't got it. What are you going to do today? You know, and it was always a question, but it's always, you know, instead of being curious, it's more with a almost condescendence or doubt just being casted is all I'm trying to say. So it was easier for me to really see, oh, like, you're not really, you want me to do well, but maybe not as well as you or better. And that would hurt my feelings a lot, because I'm the type of person to be like, I want you to be better than me. If I'm showing you something and you get better than me, well, shit, damn, great. I want to learn from you now. Pour back into me, please. Because I took all that fucking time and effort, and I wasted all my hours trying to stress something to you for you to only meet me where I'm at, you know. Since you're talking about you want what I have, it could be anything, you know. And then I would only hope to have a friendship to where I could receive the same thing. I'm open and willing to receive new knowledge, you know. So that's how I kind of would put my friends into categories, you know. Or is it an exchange, or is it comparison and for, you know, just selfish reasons? You just want me around for what I can do. Do you just want me around for the sake of how it makes you look, or whatever the case is, or what, you know, what I can provide you for your ego or whatever. And it was just really easy, and my life got very quiet, and I appreciated it, and it gave me a lot of opportunity to get back to me and make space for my dad dying, because thankfully I'm an only child, and I got to know myself at a very young age, being alone a lot. So it was an opportunity for me to do that again, in a sense, but almost tenfold. And I learned so many lessons from him passing away, and I learned so many lessons about people in a different way, which was, I'm grateful for. And I don't think that it should have happened any later. My dad would be 77 today, and he would die, and then 4 more years after this day, maybe, I'd be grieving him, and it would prolong that. And I'm not saying I'm glad that he's dead, but in a sense, I'm grateful that he did at the right time. That then I learned so much, and then I started to stream, and then I started to share what I learned, and then I started to, kind of I almost had like a running start. I could think of it as a running start, and I just always felt like that since I was a kid. I always felt like I had a running start. I felt like I was able to just see people for who they were, and I don't know why fairness rooted so deeply in me, and I mean, I guess it could be, it's a few things, but to see hypocrisy at such a young age, and I know I always say that, but I mean it so deeply, I mean it so deeply because I realize that if I'm surrounding myself with people, I want to make sure they're better than me. I want to make sure that they're doing exactly what they say that they're going to do, or that what they're telling me is livable proof, and that they're an example of exactly what they're saying I shouldn't do or what I should do. And it was important to me, and I didn't take it for granted. And it was also just a much more enjoyable time at the same time to hang around people like that I could learn from, even if maybe they didn't have the best life, or maybe they just lived within their means, but they were responsible, they weren't rich, but they were at least responsible. And you can be rich in that sense of not being behind, not taking things for granted, being able to cherish things, having humility, I tried to find people like that to surround myself with. From that point on of me getting rid of all those distractions and those people, many of the times it would just be your friends. A lot of the time it would be. And then depending on your circumstance, it could be your family. Sure, it certainly was mine. But, and, I'll say and, not but, and on top of that, how that affects you, what you think is okay for yourself based on who you surround yourself with. Oh, well, they can do it and they still show up for work, and I'll be fine. Knowing where my limit is, despite what they think that I can handle, I know what I can handle, and I know what I'm built for, and I know what is best for me. So if people can't respect my boundary when I say, no, I don't want to drink, I don't want to smoke, no, I don't want to stay up late, no, I'd rather go to the gym, no, I don't want to eat that, whatever the case is. No, I don't want to do that, and take me personally, because I was probably in their mind so comfortably a yes all the time to anything that I could just be there. But until it became, I want to do this for me, it was why, or, oh, or why you work all the time, and, or, you need balance, or, it's something that is probably what works for them. Or maybe what they've heard because it sounds good to then tell me. So I got rid of that. And I'm glad, because I think I'm now the most focused I've ever been. And I could call it all a failure. And it is. And I'm glad. And if anything, I wanted it to be. Now, obviously not in the moment, but to not learn, yeah, that'd be unfortunate, and I wouldn't want that to happen. But I learned a lot, and I have those lessons to take for the rest of my life. And I never for a second thought, I'm smarter than anybody, or to the point where I couldn't hear anybody out, or any of that. So even if it was those same people that I disliked, there's still, don't get me wrong, things that I appreciated about them, whether it be their character, their lifestyle, their interests, their hobbies, things they gravitated towards, things they participated in, people they hung around, conversations, how they conducted themselves in certain rooms, whatever the case is, I can still commend them and I can still appreciate them. But a lot of it was lifestyle, and a lot of it was not respecting the boundary that I had towards wanting to respect myself and my goal. By showing up for my goal, showing my goal respect, by being exactly what I say I want to be, and by saying and doing, following suit with whatever I desired, and whatever I said I was going to set out to do for within the week or the day or whatever the case, or the night before, And I didn't want to be like my parents, and I didn't want to be lazy, and I didn't want to be, lying to myself, and I wanted to make sure I really wanted it, you know. And if I never get a chance to be faced with the hard effort, having to show up when I don't want to, I'll miss my test to really know, because I'll categorize it as, oh, you know, I want to make sure they're happy, and I want to make sure we have a good time, and I want to make a memory. And I'll categorize it as that, but I'm not going to actually sit and say, no, I wanted it so much I had to tell them no. You know, I just let myself have an excuse. Oh, you know, and then at that point I can really look at it and be like, this is more important than my goal. Making them happy, or showing up for them, or doing whatever they want, or just being around, or saying yes is more important than saying yes to what I want, which is the rest of my life. And even if these people don't even treat me like a full friend that I could say now today that I've met a few people where I can say they genuinely are my very fullest friends. And to look back on those certain people I cut out, it's like, duh, obviously, you know, it's almost like so contrasted. And it's so beautiful to be able to see so clearly. And I wish them well, you know, I wish everybody well that I've met, and I'm glad. I'm just glad. I'm glad they showed me that. I'm glad they didn't hide that. And I'm glad that I was the way I was to even receive that. To receive that truly, to be able to see them for who they are, for as vulnerable as I was, or for as disrespectful as I was to myself to not commit to my whatever, for them to present a question, you know, or an invitation, and I, for whatever case it was, in that moment, I accepted. So I'm glad those people crossed my life, that they gave me that chance to learn, that they really put me to the test without knowing that I'd feel this way today. You know, they're just being themselves, you know what I mean? So I'm glad, you know, don't get me wrong. It's very fortunate for me to be able to learn hard and to go through hard things and to deal with things that hurt my feelings. And that's just how my life has always been up until now, you know, and I thankfully learned from it. I always took it upon myself to think, what can I do better? What did I do wrong? What was I not doing that might have helped me? You know, I let my ego go since I was a kid. I wish I had one. Maybe I wouldn't have got bullied. But, you know, all these things, but it made it so much easier for me to see who's really going to support my goal. You know, and with that being said, I accepted I can't do balance. I can't do work-life balance. I can't do that. I'll take a mile. Someone invites me to hang out. Shit, I want to be there all day, all night. I want to hang out all day. I want to laugh all night, you know. I just have a lot of love to give, and I have a very full spirit, and I'm very fun. So then I get caught. Put me in that situation. I'm gonna have a good time. And I'm gonna relax. And I'm really gonna slow down. I've been hustling since I was 14, 15 years old, 16 years old, nonstop. And I didn't know where I was going, but I was trying to make some money, or trying to work my ass off, or keep myself distracted, or, you know, trying to pay bills, or whatever the case was. And it's just never stopped. I didn't know where I was going, but I was hustling no matter what. I'd have 2 jobs at a time, 3 jobs at a time. I'm back in a place where I'm just working my ass off, and I have people who are, you know, you don't come around. I didn't expect to see you here, you know, or whatever the case is. But it's almost like, it's not in a very loving way or a longing way. It's just like, you're here. Oh, you're not working? Or, you know, it's kind of more condescending, or with disdain, you know. Not appreciation or anything like that. It's difference. And when you can see that, and when people show it to you, you know, let them, and let that be a mark for you to not waste your time with them anymore, or to try to convince them anymore that you're worth being around, and that you're worth respecting, and that you're worth loving, or any of those things. They don't appreciate you. And then they don't respect what you're doing, you know, with your life. And they want you to have maybe a life like theirs, or they don't want you to be successful, or they almost hold you in the same caliber to think that maybe, I have all these things, but how come I don't have them? And she does, or they do, or he does, or whatever the case is for you. It's comparison. And it's the thief of their joy, the thief of that opportunity for you to just have a bond if it's not about business, if it's not about creating together, if it's not about anything. They rob themselves of just being able to be your friend. And don't forget that. It doesn't have to be that. And maybe they can't accept that. Maybe they don't have that hustle and drive, that only they are relying on inspiration, and maybe they're only relying on motivation. And they think that what you're doing is catastrophic to their social life, which a social life to them might be more important than the goal of them than itself. And if that's the case, they're just upset. They're upset that maybe they can't be like you. They're upset that maybe they can't do that. They can't fathom that. They wouldn't be able to imagine how they can balance having somebody in their corner supporting them. They don't understand. Maybe they don't have real friends, so it doesn't make sense for them. Maybe they don't have a partner that really lets them, grind, or whatever the case is. Maybe if it is their partner, maybe it's their friends, Their friends mean so much to them that they'd rather put their life aside. That's what a loser is. A loser. You're a loser. I'm sorry, you're a loser. And I can't stress it enough. I want to even cry about it. It's just so beautiful. It's beautiful when people can show you that. When you have that opportunity to make sure you're not wasting time, those are those moments of opportunity. And see it for what it is. And don't hold anybody on a pedestal. Just don't. If you think that what you have now is good, there's always better. Always better friends, always better connections, always people who's going to love you a little bit more. All those things. Who is going to protect your heart is different. I'm never saying that the grass is always greener on the other side, or whatever the case is, but know who your true friends are, And sometimes it does have a cap. It does have a cap on respect. It does have a cap on appreciation, just for maybe your life right now. And what I mean by that is wherever you are in your life right now, wherever that means. Maybe it's just there's 3 little shitty friends that you have, or maybe no friends that you have. There's up from there, is what I'm trying to say. And so remember that. I also mean that it's very hard to find very real and very true friends who will respect your boundaries of all the things I said, all the desires. I wish I had a partner who would just let me, grind for 12 hours a day and not complain that I wasn't around, or, that person that you choose, as well as the friends that you choose, will affect your outcome with the pursuit of your future and your goals. They will completely affect you. Either one can influence you. They'll rob you of your time, 100%. They'll rob you of your time. They want you to live for them when they can't respect that you want to live for yourself and you still have your own life. You still are an individual, all those things. What are you going to do? Put it all aside just to sit next to them? This is going to make you happy. I'll sit with you and we'll watch this movie. If this is going to make you happy, I'm going to go to this party and disrespect myself and put everything aside that I said I wanted to do, even though I have a complete laid out goal and plan about getting after my degree, my position at work, my next paycheck, to support my child, to grind my stream, to pursue my digital social media career, to make sure I study for that exam, to make sure I do all the things, make sure I get up on time to get to the bus, to get to work, whatever it is. And I'll just go hang out with you. That's loser shit. I'm sorry if you can't hear me. You need to know. You're being a loser. You're being a loser. You're being a loser. You would rather lose. You would rather lose. You'd rather reside in it. You'd rather reside in it 100%. You give up your whole dignity. That's when you're a loser. At that point, you don't care, You don't care at all. You don't respect yourself. You might not even like yourself enough. You don't really want your goals. You don't. You don't really want to see yourself in that place that's better. You don't really want to have more for yourself. You'd rather let it be a dream. And I was just telling one of my friends, the other one, she was explaining to me when I told her that you're going to be more successful. I told her that, and she said, she expressed doubt that was interfering with her achieving her goal. And I didn't necessarily always touch on that. I didn't get a chance to. I had her elaborate, but what I did say was, if we have no goals to get to what we want our dream to be, steps, they're just dreams. And they stay dreams. They just stay like that, unfortunately. That's just more of a desire. It's a want, because it is. That's what it is. I really want that. I wish my life was like that. I wish I had that. I wish I could do that. I wish I could wake up then and then go to work. I wish I could do this, and I wish I could do that. If I want my life, I just really wish my life was like this, 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 and this. You can change it. You really can. But only if you're committed to changing it. You need to have goals. You need to. You have to. And the more time you waste, most likely will be with people you choose to be around. Because that's not going to get your goal done, to hang out with somebody if you have to study. What is your goal? And are you going to intermingle two totally separate things at the same exact time, or are you going to make separate time? Yeah, then that would make sense. You can have some balance. But you can't do both at the same exact time. You have to accept that. If something requires 100% of your effort and 100% of your time and 100% of a locked routine, and you have to have these things set in place, and it takes 5 to 7 days at a time, if it takes 3 days at a time, and you're fucking off between any of those days, what are you doing? I mean, really, what are you doing? I have a set schedule, personally. I can only speak for myself. And for anybody out there who really can't do work-life balance, is really what I'm trying to say. It works for some people, yes. And I think that if it works for you, and whatever works for you, and for whatever timeline that fits for you, and if you don't think you're going to die anytime soon, even though it could happen tomorrow, go ahead and do that. And I don't want to take that from you, and I never want to rob you of what you think works best for you, because it's not my life, because I don't care enough. But when I speak for myself, and that's really all I can really speak for, and I don't really care if anybody else might not feel the same way, even though I only hope or whatever if it does, and somebody out there like me or whatever the fucking case is. But I can't do that, because I know I have an addictive personality, and as soon as I get on the game, bitch, I'm gonna be playing that motherfucking game until 2 in the morning. 2 in the morning. And if I go out, I'm gonna hang out till 2 in the morning. And if I start drinking, I'm gonna want to drink all night. If I start smoking, I'm gonna get geeked out and forget about my fucking passion. You know what I mean? I'm gonna completely lose track. Honestly, I'm gonna lose track. I wish I was a person to be able to pick myself up the next day after doing any of those things and just get right back to it. But sometimes it takes me a couple days to get right back on the horse, It takes me a few days. I have to accept that. If I drink this day, tomorrow I'll be lethargic and tired, and I'll have half output. And then the next day, I'll have to probably deal with my decisions that I made when I was giving half output. Maybe I had half output for not just my goal, but for my lifestyle. I ate that cheeseburger. I didn't do my laundry. I didn't do my chores. I didn't do any of these other things. I didn't get my car maintenance. I didn't do all these ridiculous. I didn't go get those stupid pants that I need because I only have one pair of work pants. Whatever it is. Shit. Whatever it is. I'll start saying, fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. I don't care. And that's also a part of the reason why I don't even smoke weed, because it definitely embeds that inside my mind. That fuck it mentality that you might get from hanging out with certain people or being around certain people that might influence you, a partner, whatever the case is. And then yourself, based on those decisions that you make, The next day, who are you the next day? Are you honestly the same exact person you were before you participated? Or are you, in a slight way, changed? You know, are you changed in some way? More tired, lazy, maybe you don't like yourself, maybe you feel disappointed, maybe you have guilt, maybe that's the overarching thing. All those things are completely more important than getting right back to it, right? You know, now you have different problems, you know, you've created more problems. Now for the third day, you know, drinking the next day, that you have that third day, who are you then? Are you right back to where you were? Do you have the same amount of energy that you were before you participated? Or are you still getting over it? Or now, are you completely distracted and off-put? Does it take 2 days to get completely, you know, ugh, fuck this, oh my God, I wasted a day, fuck it, might as well waste another. Whatever you do on that third day, and then the fourth, and by the time that happens, is it the weekend? It's Friday, oh my God, I didn't get anything done, fuck it. There goes a whole week. You have 365 days in a year. You don't have 1,000. You don't have 1,000. 65 is 2 months, you know, and then a week, whatever, a couple days. That's not a lot of time. So, who's wasting your time? Who are you willing to spend it with? What do you need to do? Do you have a partner that's going to respect what your goal is? They're going to be able to make sure that it's not all about them, that they're respecting that maybe you want to get after it for the both of you? Do you have friends that are going to just keep you behind, make you feel bad for doing the hard things, doing the weird things, doing the obscure things that make you exceptional, the exceptional things that are contrary to how they live their life? Are you weak-minded, like myself? You know, oh God, one time, here I go. Just completely get off the rails. Have no self-control. If that's you, then what are you going to do about it? If you haven't practiced, you know, not having self-control, and thankfully I can have more now, you know, of really seeing, okay, let me try it. Let me try Xing out everything. And what is my root? Is it not enough self-control to say no? Is it not enough self-control to say no? Really? Why? And then being with myself and being around an environment that maybe alcohol gets brought to my house, or bad food comes to my house, or people can still text my phone and get me out the house, you know? I don't have to be around anybody to say yes still. So then at that point, I'll say, okay, well, do I not have enough self-awareness before I make decisions? Am I not going to sit with myself and then ask me, you know, how's it going to make me feel tomorrow? Some people don't even fucking get that far. They just say, yeah. It's like, what the fuck? Are you not in control? You're not in control. You're in control enough to say yes, that'd be fun, but you're not in control enough to respect that you are still you, and you still have things to do tomorrow. And even if you have an open schedule and you're a freelancer or whatever the fuck, you make your fucking schedule, you're the manager, you put those hours on the damn timesheet and you show up, whatever the case is, you didn't think about you. You know, you're living for other people at that point. Completely. And I think you're a loser. You know, you're a loser. And that's okay. That's completely fine. Don't get me wrong. Because at one point, I was a loser. You know, and I had to accept that. And that was even before streaming. I didn't understand that I was just okay with getting by, and I was just okay with having enough for what I thought enough was for me at the time, you know, and being fine with my little life, and I'm fine with that, trust me, and I am right now, and I love it, and I'm glad it's quiet, and I'm taking advantage of the fact that it is, that I've set my life up this way, and it's very peaceful. I have to tell you that, it's peaceful as shit. My life might never be like this anymore, depending on how I go about it. My point is that, am I going to be able to accept my life until I die? And if I can't, well, I'll probably change it. If I can't be one of those people, truly, that can sit there and say, I love my very easy, simple life. I make enough money, I pay all my bills, I support my family, I go to work, I come home, I kiss my wife, whatever it is, whoever you are out there. If you're fine with that, I shouldn't hear any complaints. I shouldn't hear any longings for a change of atmosphere, a change of life, a change of lifestyle, a change in routine, or any of those things. You can have plans, you can have goals, you can have vacations, you can have those things, and if you can attain them, you know. But if you are still thinking about your dreams until you die, I feel bad for you. I really do. And you really can be that person. But I know I won't. And even if I don't make it, I died trying. And I think I lived my life the way I wanted to at that point. I was only living how I wanted. And that meant something to me, and I think I'll still be okay with that. But if I died without trying, I think I'd feel more ashamed of myself. So if you have to have a life like that, where it's very simple and you love it, you know, like I said, then love it. Shouldn't hear any complaining. It should be exactly how you want it then. It should be. And know that for sure. And you don't have any time. None. I want to make people's lives easier. I want to have enough for myself, and I want to make the people around me, their lives easier. I want to enjoy my life with them without them being stressed out. And I can't heal all of them, and I can't solve all their problems. And I might never be able to accomplish that, but the pursuit of that, I think, is what I want, you know. So, I can only think of myself in that way as I think of you and people watching me. And I'm grateful that you want to, and I don't know why. You know, and I'll always say that because it's true. I don't know why. Because everybody's reason, I assume, would be different, or more or less, And I had a workout to do, but I don't think I'll do it on camera today. So yeah, work-life balance doesn't work for me. And whenever I do get a chance to see people, don't get me wrong, I do, I make it last. And I make it meaningful. And I don't give myself to people who don't deserve my kindness. I can be nice to them, but they don't deserve my kindness, you know. I don't waste time. I don't give energy. I don't give second chances on my kindness anymore. And I used to a lot. And I just keep getting repeatedly shot down, you know. And I'd be wasting my time at some point, you know, with that. Life is life, and I understand that. People may not always be in the best frame of mind. I know what grief is like. We all grieve differently, or whatever the case is. I understand that. But we still have a responsibility to be responsible for ourselves and still control ourselves when we interact with other people. And we have a choice to choose to be kind, to choose to be happy, and choose to be nice. And choose to explain to people, hey, I just can't right now. I need some time. I need some space. It's not that hard. And if that's the case, and I have to be somebody's... See, people don't want to make a choice with me, then I'll be their lesson. And I'd be happy to do it. People will distract you. They will complain and take you They'll complain and they'll complain that you are not around when you're trying to chase your dream. And if they talk about others, it's a waste of time.